In December 2022, I started my self-improvement journey by putting my head down and going into something called monk mode. It's a season of intensity where you pretty much cut off all distractions, you stop hanging out with people, you stop going outside, and you just work. And I did that for nearly a year straight. It wasn't like completely a year straight of me being in this period. I fell off some days and things like that. But for most of 2023, I was pretty much alone and just grinding. After I came out of that, I was a completely different person. During this time, I completely removed all of my social media from my life and I replaced it with a YouTube addiction. Now, although I stopped using other social media and video games and I was now spending time on YouTube, a lot of it, I didn't really see it as a bad thing, and I still don't see it as a bad thing. Instead of obsessing over the latest TikTok trend or the Fortnite streamer drama, I was obsessing over my goals. I had new interests and skill sets that I wanted to develop, and I drowned myself in content to learn. Imagine that, right? You're this person who is like chronically online. You're just a doom scroller, and you're always wasting time online. The first thing you do when you wake up, you grab your phone, you start scrolling Instagram, then you go to like Snapchat, then you go to TikTok, you just go through all the apps, and then your brain is just fried, right? That was me, and I went from like a chronically online guy to being very purposeful and just obsessed with like business and self-improvement and YouTube and money and all these things. That was a complete night and day switch for me. Looking back, even though there was a period where I didn't necessarily take action and I didn't really see much progress on the things that I was consuming, I saw it as a necessary step that I think most people have to go through in order to get to the point of taking action. There seems to be this common idea that resurfaces every few months on this, self-improvement space on YouTube. Pretty much it's the idea that you should stop watching self-improvement videos because it's a waste of your time. And there are a lot of self-improvement YouTubers who also make these videos saying self-improvement is ruining your life, and then they keep making videos after that about self-improvement. But I digress. I see what they're trying to do, but I haven't seen one person go at it in a really good and realistic way. Binging self-improvement videos absolutely can be a waste of time, and even worse, they can make you feel like you're making progress when you aren't, like you're a hamster on a wheel. This is what I like to call mental masturbation, right? So while this is true, I'd still argue that self-improvement isn't the problem, just like your phone isn't the problem and social media isn't the problem. The problem is the way that you interact with those things. So in this video, I want to talk about a different approach to learning and consumption. This is what I do when I'm making my videos. This is what I do whenever I want to learn a new topic that I think will improve my life. This is just, I think, a better, more holistic and realistic approach to make it so that you aren't a mindless consumer. Let's talk about the levels of awareness. There's this quote by Dale Carnegie that I really like, and he says, "When dealing with people, remember that you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion." Since we are such emotional little kids at the end of the day, that means that we're always trying to alleviate the pains that we have. If you have studied business at all, you likely know about the concept of the whole product awareness continuum. It follows a pattern. Unaware, when you are unaware of the problem. Problem aware, aware that they have a problem but not sure what is causing it or how to solve it. Solution aware, aware that a solution exists but unaware of how to get it. Product aware, aware of a specific or paid solution but either haven't implemented it or are hesitant to purchase. Most aware, aware of the product solution and ready to act on it. So whether you realize it or not, you are actually somewhere on this awareness continuum by watching this video, and you're probably closer to number 4. The farther you are along on this, the more likely you are to take action and try to alleviate your pain by buying a product or a service or just doing the damn thing that you're supposed to do. Not procrastinating. How many of you guys are procrastinating by watching this right now? So like I said, most people who are on self-improvement are likely in the second or third stage, maybe the fourth, where they know what the problem is and they're searching the internet for a solution, and then you wind up on this video. But the moment you become aware of the solution to your problem, it's on you to go out there and make it happen. But that is much easier said than done. It's much easier to say you're still learning than face the vulnerability of taking action and failing. So you opt for overconsumption. And this is the difference between consuming content for knowledge and consuming content for stimulation. Why would you go and make a change in your life when your future self can do it? Surely the future you will have the willpower to start the essay, to read the book, to go to the gym, even though you don't want to right now. You're probably procrastinating right now by watching this video saying that it's productive because you're learning something. And while that may not be true for this video, how much other useless content do you consume on a daily basis? Do you even remember any of the content that you're consuming on a daily basis? Or do you remember the last TikTok you watched? Or the last Instagram reel you watched? Probably not. Now, does this mean that you should stop watching self-improvement content and stop using social media or anything like that? Not necessarily. Like I said, I don't think the content is a problem. It's just the way that you use it. You need to be able to differentiate whether you're consuming for knowledge versus simulation. And to do that, we need to reinvent your process for learning things. Learning how to consume properly will help you save hours of your time, help you create healthier digital habits, and help you cultivate a more positive self-image through tangible progress. The biggest motivator for change is actually progress. When you see that you're making progress in something, it encourages you to keep going. For a roller coaster, this is a slow climb to the top, but once you get to the top, then it's smooth sailing. But most people quit in that early stage where they're not seeing the progress. If you've read Atomic Habits, you know what I'm talking about. He calls this the valley of disappointment. But before we figure out how to learn, we need to talk about goals, because shallow goals will get you shallow results. Self-improvement has become this thing that people just identify with, which is why I'm like hesitant to even call myself a self-improvement YouTuber anymore. It's like a club or like a shared identity that you can just pick up or let go at will, but that's not how it works. That's just self-improvement for the sake of improvement. When there's no purpose behind the things that you're doing, you will make no progress. Everybody wants to have a good routine, be more productive, and improve their overall quality of life, right? That's kind of what the whole point of all this is. But what exactly are you trying to be more productive in? What are you improving? If you can't answer that question, then you probably have shallow goals, and that's why you're getting shallow results. Do you really want to improve in the areas that your favorite self-help creator tells you to? Or are you just saying you're on self-improvement so you can set goals that are non-trackable to protect yourself from the pain of failure? And this is why you need a clear goal to strive towards. It brings meaning to the things that you do and makes clear the things that aren't meaningful. It creates life in every breath. With no goal or a shallow goal, you will get shallow results. With a clear, meaningful goal, you will give yourself the opportunity to achieve great results. A goal will serve as your deadline, your standard, and a general direction to head towards. And the farther you are on the levels of awareness we discussed earlier, the more the pain of not living up to your potential will eat away at you. This is good. Eventually, you will get so fed up with the lack of progress you're making that you'll finally take action. Once I made the decision to finally act towards my goals instead of fantasizing, I realized how little of the information I consumed I actually retained. Most of it had slipped my mind because I had nothing to apply it to at the time. And this was a catalyst for changing my approach to learning. So I'm going to run through my whole process for learning. This is how I learn, and this is how I think that you should view learning and content consumption as a whole from this point on. Learning is done best through doing. If you don't have something to apply your knowledge toward, your mind will not register it as important, and then it'll just throw it away. Any good student knows that practice problems are better in the long run than flashcards. You're applying the knowledge rather than just memorizing it without context. I wish I had realized this when I was in school, but realizing this is what led me to change my process for learning and creating content. But this framework can apply to anything. This works for you, whether you're a content creator, whether you're a student, whether you're just a person who's just doing your thing and you're just like, on self-improvement, right? This can help you. The problem with most people's approach to learning is that there's no definitive point to stop learning. So it usually looks something like this. Research a little more just to be sure. Notice how there's no action in there. It's like a hamster on a wheel, and that's what mindless consumers do. My process completely eliminates the chance of overconsumption by saving the research for when it's needed. My approach is start, fail, research, apply. Let me break it all down. So when you start before you even know what you're doing, you will encounter problems very quickly. This is good because it allows us to research only what we need to get past the barrier. When I'm writing a newsletter, I brain dump everything that comes to mind about that thing first. Then I will outline the points that I want to make. And then as I start to flesh out my ideas, I will identify gaps in my own knowledge as I'm writing. Perhaps I can't articulate something as well as I'd like to, or I simply write myself into a corner where I don't even know the answer to the problem. So I attribute much of my self-development to this approach. And I think that having a self-improvement YouTube channel, or just a YouTube channel where you just talk about your life, you document things in general, is a really, really good way to level yourself up, because you're sharing what you know. And when you teach, you learn. He who teaches learns. I think that's a quote by Seneca. Instead of trying to make the perfect newsletter by just researching what everyone else is writing, I'll just write what I already know, do my best. Then when I realize what I don't know, the path to find it becomes much more clear. I'm not just scouring the internet for random stuff. I will know exactly what I need to learn. So then comes the research step. So after identifying those gaps in my knowledge, I will seek to fill those gaps through content that I've already read and watched, and new content that I come across. When I'm outlining a newsletter, I will dedicate a section for research where I jot down quotes, books, articles, and videos that come to mind relating to the topic that can help me back up my argument. This way, when I start writing and I need to research something, I don't need to scour the internet for the answer. I can just ask my past self what I've already consumed related to that topic. If I were to keep on going back and forth from the internet to my document, I would get sidetracked and just go down a YouTube rabbit hole, and that would get completely distracted. This is what I like to call conscious consumption. You need a balance of consumption and action every day if you want to learn and improve. So once you have your clear goal, and then you take an action, and you've identified gaps in your knowledge, you should be consuming information related to that goal. But if you consume too much, you'll encounter the same problem as before. You need at least one source of knowledge and a dedicated time of day to consume it. This could be from books, lectures, courses, or even YouTube videos. I have a dedicated time of the day for reading. I spend about 20 to 40 minutes, sometimes an hour a day reading. Sometimes one book, sometimes just many different books. Recently I've been consuming a lot more from like courses and things, but it all just depends on what I'm looking for at that time. If I want to listen to a podcast, a lecture, or an audiobook, I will limit that to only when I'm driving or maybe on a walk later in the day. So limiting my consumption to these times allows me to not overconsume and helps me to be way more conscious and purposeful of what I'm consuming, because I have such limited time to do so. So the last step in this whole learning framework, conscious consumption framework, I guess we can call it, is to actually apply what you've learned after you've researched. So knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing. Knowledge turns into wisdom through application, through self-experimentation, through trying it out for yourself. Just because you know something doesn't mean you truly understand it. Once you get the information that you need, all that is left to do is use it. So you need to write the newsletter, you need to make the video, you need to start the business, you need to work on the project. All you have to do is just do the thing. That's all there is at this point. It's just, you just do it. At this point, there's really nothing else for you to do but just to confront the work. Don't get caught up in the whole idea that, you're not ready yet and you don't know enough, because you never will. You will never feel like you know enough. You will always have self-doubts. I guess you can say I don't know what classifies as a big YouTuber. Supposedly I'm like a decent sized YouTuber creator, and I still have doubts where I'm just like, yeah, maybe I should just like go over to Instagram, or it's like, maybe I should go be a real estate agent. Like, I just have these like thoughts. I just have these like thoughts in my head where it's like these like limiting beliefs that like don't like serve me. Like, I had this idea before that like someone had to shut me down the other day, where it's like I want to start doing some like high ticket services, and it was like I still have like my low ticket stuff, but I wanted to do like high ticket services, but I had this limiting belief that I like wasn't valuable enough to do like very high ticket, and he just shut me down. He was just like, no, like this is a limiting belief. Like, you have 100,000 followers, like you know how to grow an audience, so people, like, you're a leader, people trust you. Like, it's like your own brain isn't even on your side. So if you're like sitting here and you're like disagreeing with me because in your own brain isn't on your side, it's like, why aren't you on your side? Like, I'm on your side, you know what I mean? And like, that guy was on my side and I wasn't even on my own side, right? So again, you're never gonna feel like you're ready. You're never gonna feel like you can do the work. You never feel like you can start, but you just have to accept that you're gonna feel that way and then do it anyways. Everyone has like stage fright. No one, like every great writer, like they have, the writer's block, but they sit down and write anyways, even if they think it's bad. I record a video anyways, even if I don't feel like it. I have a lot of resistance to sitting down and recording these videos. I have a lot. It's weird because it's like once I sit down and start doing it, then I really enjoy it, and then I enter a flow state. It's just the act of getting started. It's scary. It's nervous. Like I get all like nervous. Like I have goosebumps on my arm literally right now. Like I don't know why, and I've been doing this for a year. If you're, be okay with sucking at first, and if you can be okay with sucking at first, you will allow yourself to perform as good as you are, not as good as you let yourself be. There's a big difference there. Again, like, I understand how hard it can be. You're frustrated and you're trying to learn things, and you are trying to make progress. Like, you aren't doing anything necessarily really wrong. You are trying to better yourself. You are making progress. So give yourself the credit for that. It's just that your approach might not be working. So don't say like, oh, quit self-improvement, even though, like, just, self-improvement's like, it's just like a word that people throw around. Don't overthink the word self-improvement. But it's like, don't really quit self-improvement. Don't say like, oh, like, this is all a scam and doesn't work, and I should just stop doing this, I should just whatever. Like, don't overthink it. You need to change your approach for learning things. If you're overwhelmed with like being overstimulated, take a break. Things will become a lot more clear to you. So in Islam, there's this thing called Ramadan, where they fast for about 30 days, and it's not like a complete 30-day, but it's like from like sunrise to sunset, no food or water, or a bunch of other things too. When they're in that state, things start to become a lot clearer to you, because I think it's because your body gets weaker and your mind gets weaker, and then your ego goes down, and then your subconscious mind will start to solve all those problems in your life. So you could think about content the same exact way, where if you're overstimulated in just life and in your work and everything, take some time away. You need to take some time away, and you need to let things become more clear to you. You're not going to solve the problem by trying to solve the problem. You have to get away from the problem, and then not let the problem solve itself, but let your subconscious mind solve the problem. If you're too focused on it, it's like being in a jungle and you're trying to find your way out. You have to climb a tree and then get to the top of the tree and then view it from the outside, and then you can see where you need to go. You can get back to civilization. That is really all for today. If you like this video, like it, really appreciate it. And also, a bunch of stuff in the description. I'm just gonna do all my plugs. Check it all out. Just check the description. You might find something you like. But with that being said, I think that's all I really had to say for today. I actually really enjoyed making this video, especially doing like the rant at the end. The last like 5 minutes, which is like me just talking out of my head. So yeah, hopefully you liked it. It's good to be back. Yeah, I will see you guys next week. Peace.